As promised, in this episode of the Locked On NBA Big Board Podcast, James and we are going to talk exclusively about Matas Buzelis. James is going to share his thoughts on Buzelis. I'm going to share mine. We'll see if we agree, disagree. I think that he could possibly still be the number one pick in the 2024 NBA draft. So find out our thoughts on the G League Ignites super skilled, multi-dimensional, but also divisive prospect, Matas Buzelis. Big shout out to each and every person that has made the Locked On NBA Big Board Podcast your first listen of the day. We are your source for NBA draft content 5 days a week. We have a great team. James, Leaf, Richard, we are the NBA Big Board team. And like I said, if you love NBA draft content, please subscribe, whether it's on the podcast, on YouTube. And as far as YouTube, subscribe, like, share, comment. We'll respond to the comments. Click the bell to get notifications because we're coming at you with draft content. Like I said, 5 days a week. And before we get started, this episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Go to PrizePicks.com. It is the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Use the promo code LOCKEDONNBA. It has to be lowercase, but if you use the promo code LOCKEDONNBA, you can get a deposit match up to $100. All right, the last episode, we covered James's big board 1.0, and he had Matas Buzelis at number 4. Matas he's in that range, 4 or 5. There was some talk about him being number 1 coming into the season. It's been an up and down year. He started off with some injuries. He came back. I think they won like 4 games in a row when he came back in the G League Ignite. What's their record? Like 5 and 26. 5 and 26. Matas shows a lot of flashes. He's very talented. What are your thoughts about Matas, and why are you so high on him?
See, here's the thing about Matas, man. He'll have 3 games, you can be like, yo, that's the number 1 pick. And then he'll have 3 games, you can be like, what is he good at? And going into this draft cycle, we thought that he was a really good shooter.
Yep.
And he's just not shooting the ball well. And I'm just starting to wonder, what is his shooting ceiling? Because, like, we have enough games. I don't know how many he's played. I know he's missed some. Right now, he's at 28% from 3.
Yep.
And it's like somebody that was billed as a shooter, for him to be shooting 28% from 3 is starting to be concerning.
It's alarming. It's weird because there's so many players in this class that if they're shooting 28% from 3, I'm like, that's a big red flag. For whatever reasons, I am still confident in Matas as a shooter. Maybe the adjustment to the 3-point line has taken longer than we expected. I definitely think he should be a better shooter than what the numbers are showing. I'm very shocked at the poor shooting numbers. But like you said, there are times where you watch him and you're like, whoa, this guy is special. I mean, he's unique with this blend of size. But here's something. I've seen him listed at 6'10". I've seen him listed at 6'11". But I've seen him stand next to guys that aren't supposed to be as tall as he is, and he looks like he's the same height.
So you're saying he's shorter?
I think he could measure out at the combine at 6'8", 6'9".
6'9".
Because I saw a picture of him standing next to Dink Pate, and they were standing straight up. It wasn't like one was leaning, and they were the same size.
Dink is 6'8", right?
Dink is 6'8". But Matas is supposed to be listed at 6'11". I've seen him stand next to Tyler.
What if Dink is 6'9"?
Well, I've seen him stand next to Tyler Smith, and he was shorter than Tyler Smith.
Tyler is listed as
6'10", 6'11". To me, that's not too big of a difference.
But it does take some of the allure off of him.
I mean, if his wingspan is, I agree, it does take some of the allure off of him. But I think if he puts it together, you're talking about, let's say he is 6'10". 6'10", can handle the ball. I'm not saying he's a great ball handler, but he can grab a rebound. He can push it. He can attack closeouts. I've seen some moves where he got by a guy, drove, finished. If he puts it together as a shooter, as a big wing that can make the right reads, attack a closeout, he's got some athletic finishes. And then with the defensive versatility, not saying that he's a good defender right now. I mean, the physicality is kicking his butt, but he has the tools and athleticism to be like a weak side shot blocker guy that can get in the passing lanes. Like if he puts it all together, he could be one of the more unique players.
I agree. And at the same time, I have him, 4? He could slide very easily on my board. Like his 4 isn't like anchored into the ground. Just because there's just flashes where he can't go by anybody. Right? There are flashes where
I want to add on that. I think him not being able to go by anybody, I do think with strength that can change. Not saying strength is going to make him faster, but I think he can use his body to where I'm not faster than you, but I'm going to just put this shoulder into you. I'm going to get to my spot.
But part of putting your shoulder into somebody is the ability to get low. And I've questioned his ability to consistently get low.
That's what I was going to say. He can get low. I mean,
man, sometimes
he's not like who are we talking about? That's just too straight up. Like Michael Porter Jr. can't get low.
Well, his back is broken.
Straight up, but
okay, Andrew Wiggins can't get low.
Yeah,
but Andrew Wiggins is still a great athlete. I'm just saying, like, there are times when Matas is dribbling and it's like he 100% can't get by that guy because he just can't get low.
Well, I think he can't take the bump.
I mean, that's fair too, but like I'm still kind of unsure of what he is as a ball handler. Like, and obviously not a primary ball handler, but even as a secondary ball handler, I have my concerns because it's just not consistent enough drives, handle. Like, let's just say for the poor complexion comparison, Franz Wagner. Franz handles the ball. He gets low. Like, he looks like a secondary ball handler, whether or not the jump shot is falling or not. I don't think Matas looks like that.
Yeah, and I don't expect him to be, but I do think he can be a guy that can attack a closeout, can handle the ball in transition, and blow by slower defenders if you put him at the full.
So with that being said, this is why I could move him down. So like if the jump shot isn't what we think it is, right?
That definitely limits the ceiling.
And he's not a secondary. He becomes a blow-by ball handler, if that's what you want to call it. Then, like, what are we really talking about as a upside player?
Yep. All right. When we return, I'm going to debate with James. Maybe not even be a debate. Maybe he agrees. But I'm going to talk about why I think he could still possibly be the number 1 pick in the 2024 NBA draft. Stay tuned. I'm excited to talk about our new sponsor, Grammarly. Now, Grammarly is a website that I am very, very familiar with. If you don't know, I have a newsletter, NBABigBoard.com, where I write about everything NBA draft, mock draft, scouting reports, big boards, and so on. And Grammarly has been a very, very, very important part, or important piece to the puzzle, because when it comes to writing, Grammarly is there to help you out from start to finish. For over 10 years, Grammarly has been powered by AI technology that you can trust to help you across all the places where you write the most. And right now, Grammarly helps you do even more. With just one click, all it takes is just one click, you can easily brainstorm, rewrite, and reply to suggestions based on your context and goals, so you can improve your productivity for you and your team if you do a lot of writing. And for me, when I do like a big board or a mock draft, I may do one on 30 prospects, and there's 30 different prospects, and there's a lot of adjectives that I need to use. I have to find out how to make this article engaging, and then I can even choose like basically what type of listener or my audience, whether they're knowledgeable, whether I'm doing a lot of explaining. I'm a huge fan of Grammarly. Whether you have a big presentation coming up, you can let Grammarly personalize and outline so you can get organized, so you can transform your ideas into a compelling presentation. If you need to start or draft up an important email and you have no idea where to start, Grammarly has suggestions that help you jumpstart your writing so you can start to be more productive at work. Go to Grammarly.com/podcast to download for free today. That is Grammarly.com/podcast. Let's talk about PrizePicks, because PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. It is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America and the easiest and the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It is just you against the numbers. You're not playing against pros. You're not playing against sharks. It's just you versus the numbers. All you have to do is pick 2 to 6 players and decide if they will beat the projected numbers. And then what makes PrizePicks stand out is that if your players get hurt, they have an insurance policy. Your players can get rebooted. If a guy gets hurt in the first half and doesn't return in the second half, he automatically gets rebooted. PrizePicks has quick withdrawals. You get your money fast. Gameplay is easy, and they have a ridiculous selection of players and stat types. And that is why PrizePicks is the #1 daily fantasy sports app. So go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. It has to be in lowercase, but prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. Once again, PrizePicks, daily fantasy made easy. All right, we left off and I talked about briefly why I think that Matas could be the #1 pick. So hear me out. I believe that during the pre-draft process, when he's doing one-on-ones with teams, one-on-nones, because I think his draft stock is high enough to where he probably won't be working out with guys. And if I'm his agency, just listen to it. If I'm his agency, I'm not having him work out with anybody.
Nah, for what?
I'm gonna just say, hey, look, he's projected to go high. If you like him, you got to bring him in by himself. Now, if I'm the team, I'm gonna totally disagree with that. But if I'm his agency, I'm gonna have him work out by himself. I think he'll shoot the cover off the ball, working out by himself. I think whatever drills that you put him through, because he's so highly skilled, I think he's going to look good. I mean, you put him through ball handling drills, you put him through shooting drills, you put him through like athletic testing drills. I think he's going to test very well. And then I believe that he's going to interview well. So you factor all that, I think some teams are going to not pay. I think they're going to blame the Ignite for some of his lack of, maybe not lack of shooting, but I think they're going to put an asterisk by it because, like, oh, well, he wasn't in the best situation with the Ignite. They didn't have this, yada, yada, yada. I can see him rising in the pre-draft process because I think his stock will get better by not playing.
You're not going to trick me, because here's the thing. If he continues to, we'll say, I can't blame the Ignite for you shooting 28%. You're getting wide open looks, G. Like, you came in, build as a shooter, and these are corner looks too. This is the easiest, shortest.
But again, I bet you he's going to shoot the cover off the ball.
I'm not saying he's not going to, but I'm just saying I'm not buying or blaming the Ignite because you can't shoot. Because like I said, you had plenty of opportunities to show you can shoot. There's been, let's say, 20 games, right? So I'm not gonna take that excuse.
Check this out. So I have some friends that are agents and they have an agency, right? And they like dig into numbers, dig into numbers.
Okay.
And they'll have like numbers where it'll be like, if James Barlowe was on the floor with such and such, he was a great point guard, these are his numbers when he's on the floor with this player. All right, when he's on the floor with this guy, these are his numbers, these are his splits. The jumpers are contested, yada, yada, yada. Like, they really dig into that. So, and I'm just talking here. Like, if there's some splits that say he's a 35% shooter when he's on the floor with Jeremy Pargo, as opposed to when he's on the floor with London Johnson. And then you say, and I'm just saying this, I don't have the numbers. And then you see his agency or whoever pitches it to a team. All right, now let's say he's on the floor with Ja Morant, or he's on the floor with such and such. This is what his numbers will look like in this particular situation. So I think that, there's so many games that agents play that they have data to support it that can make you think about it. And I think that could be a possibility. But I just imagine, like, if your concern is, all right, he didn't shoot the ball well. And then, of course, during the pre-draft process, there's always like, well, yeah, we reworked the shot. His elbow was this. We taught him how to land better. And then he shoots the cover off the ball. I could see teams being intrigued by that.
Again, I am not calling him a non-shooter. I'm just keeping it a buck. And I'm not going to blame players, like he's getting spot up looks.
But that's what agents do.
I get it. And that's what agents
you blame
do.
The coach. You blame the system.
Everybody.
You blame everything for your guy not being able to showcase this.
But even with that said, he can go to a pre-draft workout, and if they shoot 100 threes and he makes 86, like you'd be like, okay, he just had a bad year. I get it. But I'm just saying right now, Raf, he's shooting 31% in spot up opportunities right now. And again, for somebody who was, let's say, pre-draft, we probably said he was the best shooter coming into it. For him to be shooting so poorly, that's a big concern. And again, like I mentioned in a previous segment, he can kind of handle the ball. Yeah. Right. So will he realize that potential and become a secondary ball handler? I don't know.
But if he's 6'11" and he can kind of handle the ball, that is a huge win.
It is in a sense, but if he can kind of handle the ball, but he can't go by anybody, right? Or he can kind of handle the ball, but he's not a great scorer, then it's like, so what? You can dribble. Maybe if you can kind of handle the ball, but you end up being a better shooter, then we're just going to need you to go be a shooter. So then we kind of, to me, it limits his upside.
Well, if he can shoot the ball, if you believe he's a better shooter, and then he can kind of handle the ball, that means he's able to attack on straight line drives in space, especially if he has a team where there's real spacing involved. But yeah, I still think that there is a shot. I think he's going to be the biggest riser after the season ends, because we've seen it every year.
He's gonna have great workouts.
I think he's gonna have great workouts, because I imagine, like, if you put him in with your wings and then you chart the guys that you brought in, his shooting numbers in an empty situation, in an empty gym, will probably be off the charts. I think athletically, because he shows flashes of athleticism.
He does. He has some you get him dunks, a running start.
So I think he's going to play above the rim and show how fluid and athletic he is. And then I think that once you put him through ball handling, and then you compare him to everybody else his size in the draft, you're going to, especially if he's 6'11", you're going to be like, okay, he's super skilled. Where I think he'll rise is because if he's doing one-on-ones and you take the competitive part out, and he has to go against a dog in a one-on-one thing, because my biggest knock on him is I think he has too many moments where he disappears.
I got one for you real quick, Raf. Your agent, you represent Matas Buzelis, Rafael Barlowe, LLC.
I think about all of this from agent perspective, team perspective, so I like this already.
And Zachary Reese's agent calls you up and says, hey man, let's work out together. Are you taking it? So you have the same concerns about both dudes as far as that dog. What do you tell him?
I will work out with Reese.
Do you feel like you win that work? What do you do in that workout? Are we competing? Are we just shooting? Are we handling the ball? Because like they're probably gonna mirror each other.
Yeah, I would do that workout. Now, who I would not have him work out against is here's one that's crazy. I would not have him work out against Justin Edwards.
Because I'm not having them work out with them because they're not going to be in the same draft range.
But I'm just saying, because Justin has everything to gain in that situation, and I think he'll use his physicality in a sense, and then Justin Edwards will be like, wait a minute,
maybe I'm really good at basketball,
or maybe it'll be like, no, Kentucky really held him back, because that would be like, he was sharing the ball with too many guys.
All right, so hold on real quick. Okay, so you say you do the Ricochet one, right? What if my man from Florida State was Watkins?
No.
You're not going to have him work out? Let's say Jameer jumps to 13. You're not having him work out with him?
No, sir.
And why is that?
No, sir. Because I'm just like, hey, man, this ain't for you. It's a 5-on-5 game. This ain't one-on-one.
Okay. What about, let's say, I'm just throwing all the hypotheticals out today. All right. Let's say Matas is 6'9".
Okay.
All right. And Keyshawn George is 6'8". Are you having him work out against Keyshawn George? With Keyshawn George?
Nope. I'm just saying, hey, look, if you like him,
he could lose that shooting contest.
He could lose that
ball handling contest. And if they play one-on-one, he could lose that too. And he might only be like an inch taller than him.
Yeah.
And we don't know about all the rest of the wingspan.
Yeah, no, if I'm his agent, I'm only putting him in the best position to succeed. Now, if I'm the team, I may be like, look, I'm drafting I'm not drafting anybody that's running and ducking.
I wouldn't do that.
So it may be, yeah, I'm just like, you know what? All right, you want to work out by yourself, but we're going to set a time where you work out by yourself. But then all these other guys that we like, they're going to work out on the other end before you, and now you look crazy because they're competing.
I'm
and
a fan of that
by yourself.
I love the story of Kevin Garnett cussing out Pat Riley. I love the story of Bam cussing out Pat Riley. Like, give me the super competitive dude.
Yeah, that's what I do. All right, last segment we're going to talk about, and we've touched on a little bit, but we're going to talk about our biggest concerns for Matas and why it could be a risk to take him in the top 5. Stay tuned. All right, let's talk about our new sponsor, Hungryroot. Hungryroot is the easiest way to get fresh food delivered straight to your door. They have healthy groceries and simple recipes all in one place. You could take a fun short quiz at Hungryroot and allow them to get to know you. They'll get to know your goals, what you like to eat. They even want to know what type of appliances you have in your home. And then they'll keep your needs and your preferences at the top of mind, and they'll start building your cart with delicious recipes and all your grocery needs for the week. And Hungryroot will recommend recipes and groceries based off your specific tastes. So take their suggestions and choose anything that you want. They've got fresh produce, high quality meat and seafood. They got pantry staples, healthy snacks, sweets, and much more. The best part of Hungryroot is that they follow a simple standard. It's got to taste good, be quick to make, and contain whole, trusted ingredients. So you can spend less time meal planning, shopping, and cooking, which takes up a significant amount of time, and more time enjoying healthy food that you actually love at Hungryroot. And right now, Hungryroot is offering Locked On NBA Big Board listeners 40% off your first delivery and free veggies for life. You heard that correct. If you go to hungryroot.com/lockedonnba, you'll get $40 off your first delivery and you'll get free veggies. hungryroot.com/lockedon. Do not forget to use our link so they'll know we sent you. All right, I've talked about why I think there is a chance that he could be the number 1 pick, but I want to talk about some of the risks and like what could potentially go wrong. And like I said, we've touched on it a little bit. And for me, it is, all right, what if he's not the shooter that he's advertised to be? Every year we see those lists about shooters who can't shoot. Like, when you hear about shooters who can't shoot, who's a guy that comes to mind for you?
Right now?
Yep.
Okay, so he can shoot, but it's situational. I feel like I'm picking on him, but like Reggie Bullock, right? So when Reggie Bullock when the expectations go up, his shooting goes down.
No, here's about Reggie Bullock. November, December, January.
Oh, he's got like a burner.
No, it's the opposite. It's like 30%. And then in like mid-January, he'll shoot like 42%. And then it evens out to him being like an efficient shooter.
All right, I got one for you. And this is another expectations versus Malik Beasley.
He just didn't shoot the ball in LA.
That means everything to Laker fans. They hate him.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so,
but we've seen guys like Jumper just vanish.
I know.
Maybe it's the lights are too bright. Maybe it's because you just know. I don't know. Like
he's shooting 47% from 3 right now. In Milwaukee, last year in LA, he shot 35%. And like 35% is league average, and that's good.
Yeah.
He's supposed to have a burner.
Yeah, I think there was some stuff. I think, he's from Omaha, or his family's from Omaha. I know his grandfather passed away. Maybe it was some personal stuff going on there. But yeah. So I would say with Matas, if the shooting if he's not like a very, very good shooter, then I think it limits everything else that he does. I think his talent is going to be based off of how well he's shooting the ball. Because if he's shooting the ball well, then he can attack closeouts. Then he's a threat. If he's just a spot-up shooter, I think he could be fine. Another concern I have is he just disappears. He just has moments to where you don't even notice he's on the floor. But what's crazy about it is the G League games are so long as opposed to the college game that you can like vanish for 20 minutes out that game. But if you hit 2 threes, get a layup, get fouled, and you look at the ending numbers, you'll be like, oh, he had 12 points.
Right. Or it might be 17 because he could have a good first quarter, chill for the second and third quarter. Fourth quarter, we getting slapped right now. The team is kind of pulled back, and man, I got 17 and I shot 6 of 12.
I've seen that. That's the thing. I've seen people, they'll just post his stats. And I'm like, dang, I watched the game. I didn't know he had 15. So I remember like a stretch where he hit 2 threes and then he got a transition dunk and then he may have scored like 8 points in a quarter, but I'm like, that other 7, like they were down by 40. And so I don't know if my concern is that he doesn't always impact the games, and sometimes the numbers and the impact don't add up. So that's a concern I have.
Do you have a player comparison for him?
I don't.
I don't either.
I don't have a player comparison
and
for
I don't
him.
want to make a lazy complexion comparison either.
Yeah, I don't have a... all right, here's one. You're going to think I'm crazy about this. Here's one. When I watched Jaden McDaniels in college, I was like, he's got so much game. He does stuff that nobody can do at his size. And he wasn't necessarily efficient with it. But he's had to transform himself into like a great defender. And that's how he's got on the court. So I think with Matas, he like teases. Like if you watch McDaniels play, he teases like, what is he, 6'9"?
He like 6'11".
6'11". He can handle. There's some stuff that he would do on the court that I'm like, KD can do that.
He's definitely one of KD's sons.
Not every, but he hasn't got the opportunity to show it. But I love the fact that he's rebuilt himself as a defender. And I still think somewhere down the line, he is going to have the opportunity to showcase what he can do on the offensive end.
Well, if they trade Towns, he's going to have to, because there's going to be a hole in the scoring.
There's going to be a hole, yep. But, I mean, I don't see why they would trade Towns. They're winning right now.
Money. It'll come down. They still owe Rudy like 40-some M's over a bunch of years. Ant-Man's Supermax is going to kick in. If he's not eligible now, he's going to make all NBA. It's going to come down to money.
Well, I think if they're winning, and
Jaden McDaniels already got paid.
Yeah, I think eventually. I mean, shoot, I think they're in a situation where if they're winning, and I think they're going to have some. Like if they lose in the first round,
I think they're going to be a first round,
or something like that, maybe. But anyway, so my concern is, all right, Matas shows that. I mean, he probably has shown more flashes than what Jaden showed. But Matas I don't think he has the ability to turn it up on the defensive end to where you're like, all right, he's going to get his minutes on defense. So that would scare me because you're like, all right, I see all the flashes of potential, but if he's not putting it together and he's not defending at a high level, then how is he going to get the opportunity to do it? You know what I mean?
I agree.
And so when I look at the NBA right now, so I look at the teams right now, so just going based off their rosters, right? So let's say Detroit is picking high. I think there would be a clear path for him in Detroit to get major playing time. I think if San Antonio, based off their roster right now, if he goes to San Antonio, I don't know who he beats out for minutes on the wing. If he goes to Memphis,
they got something in Vince Williams.
Who does he beat out for minutes on the wing? If he goes to who else is bad?
Washington.
They
got plenty of wings. Even after potentially trading Poole and Kuzma, they still have wings.
So I'm like, he's got to be able to knock down shots consistently to, in my opinion, stay on the floor. Like I saw a stat, right? And I can't remember where I read it. It said Grady Dick, when he played NBA minutes, was the worst player in the NBA this year.
Somebody was going at his neck the other night. It was Vince Williams. Yeah.
So, and Grady is, I mean, I think Matas is more, I think he's got more stuff to his game. But you would think Grady would be able to stick because he's supposed to be a specialist.
Right. That's always my issue with specialists, man. When you're not making shots, what else are you doing?
Yeah, so that's my concern. Like, what is your biggest concern for Matas? I know I gave a long answer.
Nah, you good. I feel like, again, he just might be, it could be permanent potential because right now, there's just not one thing we know he's going to bring every single night. Especially only because the shooting isn't what we thought it would be.
Yep.
And again, it could just be a bad stretch. Maybe he's getting used to the line. I also would like to note that it's not necessarily fair to grade him as a shooter. Hold on, let me backtrack on that first. But if he's shooting 28% from three, and we say Keyshawn George is shooting 42, Keyshawn George is not shooting from the same line as.
No, that's definitely fair.
But at the same time, what's Tyler Smith at? 38?
38.
He's shooting at the same line.
Yeah.
So maybe that excuse doesn't work. I don't know, man. I watch Matas, man, and some days I'm like, oh, man, top 3 pick right there.
No,
and then some
agree.
days I'm like, man, I don't know. I don't know what is he. I don't know what is he good at.
Yeah.
And like they'll put him in a pick and roll. And he might do something. He tries to post up, but he just can't lower that bang right there. And he doesn't have vertical pop to make up for it either. And he might not be 6'11".
He has like vertical pop.
He has running start
with a runway.
Yeah. But how many runways are you getting in the NBA if you're not a dynamic ball handler? I mean, even Anthony Edwards, as great as he is, he doesn't get 7 runways a game. He gets,
No.
So it's like I don't know, man. There's still a lot to try to figure out with Matas. I had him at 4, but like I said, he could slide a lot. Not nothing major, but he could slide from 4, or he could stay there. He's not cemented into that spot for me.
All right, I'm gonna switch it to you. You're his trainer.
Okay.
What's your summer plan?
First things first, we got to get our jump shot confidence back. We got to start seeing that ball go in. If nothing else, we got to be 6'9", 6'10" with a burner. There's money to be made 6'9", 6'10" with a burner. And fan bases are more tolerant, more patient with you if you're at least providing that.
Yeah.
So if the ball handling, if the playmaking, if the motor isn't, whatever, at least go out there and stretch the floor and make shots.
And that's why I think it's crazy to say that we're talking about a 28% shooter having a high floor as a shooter.
That's right.
But that's just like perfect for this draft because it's just so many wild cards.
But he had built that with his shooting at the prep
equity.
level. He had shooting equity.
Shooting equity.
Yeah.
So like I would, if I were training him,
shooting equity, man. You need to copyright that because if I start seeing that on Twitter, man, I want it to be known that you said that first.
Yeah, I would work on playing ones. I mean, I'm big on offensive creativity. Not saying that that's going to be his role as a high usage guy that's going to score a lot of isolation, but I think it's good to have in your game, especially in late shot clock situations. And I just think the more you have to your game, because if you can establish yourself as a shooter, eventually the teams are going to start closing out on you hard and they're going to start defending you a certain way. Then I want you to be able to attack the closeout. And then if it's a situation where you can't attack on a straight line drive, I want you to have at least a go-to move, a counter move, and another move that you can get to just in case. Because, and we've talked about it before, how you don't like 3-and-D guys. And let's say you're supposed to be a spot-up shooter and your point guard is a dynamic ball handler that gets you those looks. He goes down with a pulled hammy for a couple weeks.
You got the backup point guard in there. And then what you gonna do?
And now, like, you know what I mean? Like, what you gonna do? So I think he should add that. Of course, get stronger. I mean, the basic stuff, get stronger. But I would have him play a lot, and of course you don't want to risk the injuries and all that, but it's just my biggest concern outside with the shooting is he has a tendency to just disappear and have non-impactful minutes, and I don't know how you can work on that unless you just I don't know how you can work on that. I guess a lot of film study and just a conscious effort to be an active cutter or do the little things to where you're not just floating.
See, I think I have in my notes, though, originally that he was an active cutter. Yeah, he cuts without the ball. At least he did at the prep level. And maybe, again, it could be the issue. He has a young point guard, Lyndon Johnson.
Yeah.
So maybe that could be one of the reasons why he's not cutting as much, or why he may disappear. But
see, and this is another comparison. I know we're running short on time. I think Matas is more skilled than Ron, but you've never had a moment where you're like, and Ron is playing with the same guys, so you're like, oh, I didn't notice. Was Ron Holland on the floor?
If nothing else, Ron gonna get to the rim.
Yeah, so he's always going to make an impact in some form or fashion, and I can't say that about Matas. Well, that wraps up this episode. We talked about Matas Buzelis exclusively. What are your thoughts on Matas? Do you think that he could end up being the number one pick if he finishes strong in the second half of the season and has some dominant workouts, or do you think that he is, well, this draft is obviously wide open, a lot can change, or do you think that what he's shown so far and the shooting concerns, do you think they're legit? Once again, it's Rafael Barlowe with my brother James, and we are out.